Agriculture is one of the pillars of the Ghanaian economy. It provides food and income for a large part of the population, as well as generating foreign exchange for the country via exports. At the heart of each industry lies its workforce. In order to develop and compete nationally and internationally, the industries rely on well-educated and trained staff and workers. In order to provide the education and training that meets the needs of the industries and to ensure the success of entrepreneurs and workers, a new approach to the vocational training and education system has been developed. This new approach is aiming at developing the competencies of students and trainees that are required by the industries. This system is called CBT, meaning Competency-Based Training. It is learner or student focused. In this short film, we will explore further what this means.
Start something new. It is called CBT, but what does it mean? It means we're moving away from the old school. This new approach is student focused and it is driven by what you need to be doing in the industry. We want to train you to be competent in those skills that the industry needs. And you are the first big intake that will go through this different system of teaching and training.
The research has proved that countries that are doing well are countries who see themselves to be TVET people. 80% of worldwide activities are in TVET. 20% are not in TVET. So without TVET, there's no life. So this is the right decision you have made. Never regret coming into TVET.
TVET reform in Ghana. This is a new program in Ghana now, which is taking off. There should be a radical transformation in the quality of TVET graduates that TVET providers produce. TVET should be seen as a credible alternative to general education. TVET is different from the traditional way of learning.
This new competency-based approach is quite different from the old school, which was focusing on content and was teacher or instructor focused. Now the students will know exactly what kind of knowledge and skills at what depth and level they will acquire during the program. CBT defines clearly what the learner will be able to do after successful completion of a unit of learning.
Rigorous industry standard. The TVET reform is geared towards what the industries are doing. It's industrial based form of education or training. We don't do our learning without the industry being involved or being part of that. They created the standard that we are to learn or what we are supposed to do. So what we are going to learn will be towards the industry standard.
It is an industry and demand-driven, outcomes-based education and training program based on industry-generated standards that form the basis upon which assessments and learning materials are designed and developed. Competence is the ability to carry out the activities of the standard specified. The CBT approach is part of the parcel of ATVET, the Agricultural Technical Vocational Education and Training, which itself falls under the responsibility of COTVET, the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, which was set up by an Act of Parliament to coordinate and oversee all aspects of technical and vocational education and training.
If I am being assessed on, say, peeling of pineapple, and I had it, and maybe crushing of pineapple I couldn't achieve, and the next time I'm asked to be reassessed, I'll be asked to crush it, not the peeling again.
CBT, we are giving 2 chances. If you are able to succeed, you redo the whole unit again.
This first batch of CBT got their first taste of CBT education when they gave their understanding of the CBT concept through self-assessment.
Time allowance for assessment is true. Range of delivery methods is true.
Do you all agree? Yes. Do you all agree? Yes.
Indeed, industry players have played yeoman's role in the formulation and a building of the curricula of the CBT, which has just arrived in Ghana. Ghana's experience will be a module for the African continent. The industry players are doing everything possible to keep the CBT flame burning. They met to draw the industry demand aspect.
In Ghana, our farms, that is the citrus farms, they produce 2 to 3, 4, 5 tons per acre. When you go to Brazil and other countries, people are making 18 to 30 tons per acre. Now, it is as a result of competency-based training these people receive. And then it is also as a result of the attitudinal change people have in these places as against in our locality. We think that the competency-based training would give opportunity to people to really be able to implement and do things practically, and then results can come.
Over the years, we spent a lot of money trying to groom or train people or workers, for that matter, who join our company to work with. And it takes a lot of our time, it takes a lot from our budget as well. So we saw this to be a very laudable idea. It is one way that will help, especially the indigenous Ghanaian entrepreneur, farmer, in the sense that it will sort of free the farmer from getting involved in doing so many things which other people are best positioned to do for us, especially like the Farm Institute. This CBT, which is specific, is tailor-made for our industry, like the pineapple.
We are following students as they proceed through a CBT vocational program.
CBT talks about competency-based training, that to say learning by doing. If you are learning something, you do it practical, not the theoretical way. That is to say you go to class and they teach you and you write exam about it. But CBT talks about competence-based training. You do it practical on the field to show that you are able to do the thing. I expect that at the end of CBT, I should be well competent with the pineapple value chain, that is to say the pineapple production.
I heard CBT from my friend, who told me that CBT is a very interesting course. If I involve myself in, I will not be a burden on my parents or government.
Statements of the headmasters of the 3 pioneering farming institutes of Aswansi, Wenchi and Adidome, characterizing the difference and benefits of CBT.
Present concept is different from the old or the traditional one by the fact that with this, the demand by industry is what has been used to develop the curriculum. And so the training is more flexible such that the learners are exposed to practical activity and they can perform using criteria reference instead of the traditional one, which is norm reference. So with this, the trainers or the learners become more skillful and competent at their work areas. It also involves having an attachment or workplace experience, which helps them to understand and get the training better.
The old agric teaching methods, we have the curriculum and we follow it. So whether the student or the learner or the trainee is interested in what we are training or what we are teaching, definitely he has to comply. But this one is quite different in such that we don't even teach, we rather facilitate. And this means that it's now trainee-centered. Those we train, they come out with their own interests. What do they want to do after the training? So they identify what they want to do, and then we give them the training and make them competent in it.
Now the CBT, its curriculum development is demand-driven, and industrial related. We look at the occupational standards, the skills and competencies needed at the workplace, at the industry. And based on that, we develop the curriculum, the learning materials, and assessment. And so if you go through, we prepare you to fit industry. And so there's so much, it's so beautiful. I don't expect most of the students after graduating going to look for a job. After they're going through having acquired a competency to carry out most of the skills, knowledge, and attitudes, they would want to set up their own industry.
CBT in ATVET in Ghana is piloted for 2 programs, one in pineapple and one in citrus. Students have the option of either doing citrus or pineapple.
The performance has to measure, appropriate soil amendment, and apply. Okay. So now let's take the LO1 from our learning material. PCA.
Plant food nutrients are essential for proper crop development and quality fruit formation. Balanced nutrient levels prevent pest and diseases incidence. Each nutrient is equally important to the plant, yet each is required in vastly different amounts.
CBT-based programs in Agricultural Technical Vocational Education and Training, or short ATVET, are made up of a range of unit standards. In the unit standards, the learning outcomes are clearly spelled out. They are further broken down into performance criteria that describe the actions the learner will be able to perform at a competency level.
We divide into our groups and we discuss the self-assessment question. When we finish, we'll move to the field to do some of this more identification and measure the soil amendment and apply. So let's, in the group, try our hands on the self-assessment.
Self-assessment, question 1. List the category to which nutrients are classified.
The answer is nitrogen and potassium.
This plant was planted the same time this one was planted. So as at now, we expect this one to be like this. But you can see the color. So there's something wrong with this plant. You can see it has not even developed roots at all. Apply the appropriate measure of potassium to them, and so what they will change. If they don't change, then that is something else. Then we trace it and look for what is wrong. They'll be able to control it.
I've learned so lot of things here, because first I didn't know how to mix fertilizer. I don't even know the quantity to use and how to even use it, but I've learned the quantity needed for at least an acre of farm, the amount of fertilizer you're going to use, and the liters of water you're going to use to mix everything.
Natural pineapple flowering may be delayed or uneven. It will take a long time, or it will be uneven. It will be at random. It will be coming one by one. It is highly desirable to attain uniform flowering to control the time of harvest. So, uneven harvesting, you harvest today, tomorrow at different times. If you want to avoid that, then we have to induce flowering.
I want to force pineapple. First of all, it has to be that 7, 8 or 10 months, according to the planting material that I use, whether I use the slip, the sucker, or the crown. And if you are coming to force, you use a chemical called naphthalene acetic acid or calcium carbide. When you want to use the calcium carbide, it's in a lump form. So first of all, you have to crush it to make it powder before you use it.
Assessment rather than examination is a key word in CBT. One of the tutors from Wenchi Farm Institute explains assessment as it applies to CBT.
For assessing our students, we have the performance criteria where a student will have to go on the field to perform for us to see the evidence in it. We have product evidence where the student or the learner, in CBT we use the word learner, where the learner has produced something for us to have the product as an evidence. And the third assessment evidence is the written evidence, where the learner is being asked or assessed that writes or states something on the production or as part of the value chain. The person tends to write it as a written evidence.
The students now have received the instructions and tuition and are learning to prepare for the assessment.
We are coming to do the planting of pineapples. We have already gone through the preliminary stages of treating the suckers and getting them ready for planting. So today we are here to peg, make the ridges, mulch, and then plant. Today we have one major task to perform, and that is after we have been trained, we have to assess you. And today we are in for assessment. I'll be giving you the planting materials, the tools that we use, the ridges, and then the rubber mulch so that you can mulch and plant. You have your tape measure, your pegs and everything.
The assessment tasks provide the evidence to judge that the learner has reached the required competencies. Care has to be taken that the learner is not overall under-assessed and that all the requirements of the performance criteria are met. The new CBT approach is transparent and provides clear information to the students on what is required to pass an assessment. Marking guidelines and model answers are provided to ensure consistent and fair judgments. The marking and judgment decisions made by the tutors of the training institutions are verified by ATVET before the results become official and are given out to the students. With appropriate tuition and student effort, passing should be ensured.
In CBT, you have to achieve or not achieve. And you have done what I taught you, and apart from one of you, you've all achieved. And I'm happy for that. I hope the person will be reassessed and then he will also equally qualify like you.
However, if a student does not pass an assessment, a reassessment can be arranged. If an assessment is covering theoretical aspects, the reassessment will be slightly different from the original one, but asking for evidence for the same performance criteria. For practical tasks, the same skills have to be demonstrated against the same checklist.
Assessment is correct. Now your planting is good.
The farmers that we know mostly are the ones who wake up very early in the morning and they go out to the farm wearing worn out clothes with their cutlass and hoe, and they are always either very tired and very poor. And nobody likes that. We need to change that image. Those hard-working, poor citizens of this country are in that state because they have not had the opportunity to learn good skills. So you are the carriers of this important message. No amount of billboards or radio announcements will change it if you don't go and show the difference.